In this video, we take a look at all the damage data for every single assault rifle in Battlefield 2042. The numbers definitely line up with the current meta for assault rifles, but I did find some interesting numbers that will surprise you. If you like this type of content, please don't forget to hit that like, hit that subscribe, and let's get into it. So it will come at no surprise that after testing all the damage numbers for the ARs, that the M5A3 comes out on top in a lot of categories when it comes to DPS. The one thing that makes the M5 unique to all the other assault rifles is that you can equip the close combat ammo type that basically gives this gun an insane fire rate that puts it in line with most of the SMGs when it comes to fire rate. Speaking of SMGs, if you have not yet seen my previous video on SMG damage, I highly recommend you go check it out. The damage output for some SMGs in comparison to assault rifles are kind of surprising and will make you think twice on picking up an AR over an SMG. We'll touch on that later in the video, but I will link that video in the description below. Testing again was done the same way we tested the SMGs. I did find a better way to test and make the process more streamlined, but it was a grind nonetheless, so I really do hope you guys find this information useful. Essentially, I grabbed the RPMs listed for each gun, then converted that data to rounds per second. I then tested every gun and ammo type at 10-meter intervals, recording the damage per bullet at each distance. Using this data, as well as the round per second of each weapon, we can then calculate the damage per second of each rifle. Looking at the DPS values, the M5 with the close combat ammo essentially is just better than every other AR in the game for close range combat. The AK-24 comes in at a distant second if using within 10 meters, but it does have a pretty steep drop off past 10 meters. The M5 is essentially top tier all the way out to about 50 meters, and then other guns become a little more effective. Past 50 meters, the AK and the SFAR with high power rounds become better options, but not too far off from those guns is the M5. But instead of using close combat rounds, you just have to switch out for high power rounds, which again makes it very hard to use any other AR other than the M5. But the outlier here is the AC-42. On paper, this gun should be better than every other AR in the game. It has a listed RPM of about 1200, which is nearly twice that of every other assault rifle. But obviously this is a 3-burst gun, and that dramatically changes the way this gun outputs damage, as well as how you have to play this gun. Because this gun has a burst delay, the calculated rate of fire is less than half of what is listed, which essentially puts its DPS well below the other rifles. I did see something very interesting when testing the damage per bullet with this gun. Basically, this gun had the best damage per bullet in comparison to other assault rifles. It also has the least amount of drop off. And if you equip the high power rounds, there was essentially no damage drop off. So shots to body were doing 26 damage and headshots were doing 52 damage. So essentially this was a 1-burst rifle if you could land all 3 shots and one of those shots hitting the head. That is in theory, obviously, and in practice, this was a whole nother story. I'm sure if you've used the AC-42, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and hitting that 1 burst down is quite the task. I'm sure for highly skilled players, this gun can wreck, but it definitely requires someone who can control it. I did, however, find another use case for this gun given its high damage per bullet. Since I was having problems landing shots, I figured I'd try using the gun in single fire mode, and at first it seemed decent, but nothing spectacular. But where I really started to have fun with this gun was using single fire mode in combination with the bipod and using a longer range scope. Again, because the gun does 52 damage to the head, that's a 2-shot down against a non-plated player. Super fun to use, practical. I wouldn't say it's a game-breaking loadout, and I probably would still use the M5 over this gun majority of the time. But basically, this is kind of why I like pulling data like this, because it gives me the opportunity to try new things, and sometimes I can stumble across something that fits my playstyle better. I really do hope you guys can use this info and do the same. I will mention again to look at the SMG data, because without spoiling it, I do feel there is a better option for an all-around weapon class in the SMG category. Again, this comes down to preference. Based on damage data and just overall gun feel, there could be a couple SMGs that fit your playstyle. Also, I have pulled data for the PKP LMG, as I know this is being called the new meta right now, and I am in the process of getting that video out. But as a quick teaser, I will say that this gun does deserve to be near the top, but it is not because of its damage numbers. So stay tuned. Again, if you appreciate this type of content and want to help support this channel, please do hit that like. And if you want to stay up to date with the video drops, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And I do appreciate everyone that watches these videos and hope to keep providing you guys with some good content. With that, I'll see you guys in the next video.